Hello, my name is Sip Mendez. Welcome to Sip's Techie Tips. In this video, we're going to look at another M-Audio MIDI controller. This time, we're looking at the Oxygen25. In a previous video, we looked at the Oxygen 8. There's still a lot of those out there. People are using them even today. The Oxygen25 is quite an improvement. We're going to look at setting up the MIDI. We'll configure it. I'll show you how to make some changes directly from the keyboard. Set it up with Ableton Live. But before we do that, I want to thank all the viewers who have been watching these videos, especially subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, click on subscribe. And if you want to be notified of each new video, remember, click on the bell. If you're not a member on YouTube, sign up for an account. It's quick and easy. Now let's take a look and see what comes inside the box. This is what you will find in the box. There will be a USB cord, and this is of the type used commonly for computer printers. There is a quick start manual, and it is written in English, Spanish, French, Italian, and German. And it's only 6 pages. This is a quick start manual, so there's only enough information to get you started. But it is good, useful information. There's also the controller itself. And I bought my controller on clearance. And if you buy a brand new one, you will also receive a card about this size, and it will have the information on how to download the included software. Ableton Live, Beats, and anything else. This is the back of the Oxygen25 MIDI. And there are 4 items, basically. There's a USB connector. And this is the same type of connector used by many computer printers. There is a sustain connector, an on and off switch, and a Kingston security lock connector. To connect your MIDI to your computer, you just need to line up and plug in the USB cord, and you can turn it on. Then to hook up your sustain pedal, just plug it in here to the 1/4 inch connector, or 6.35 millimeter connector, and you're ready to go. Let's take a quick tour of the keyboard here. This is my M-Audio Oxygen25, and it is a model MKV, which I think stands for Mark V. So that makes it the 5th model in this line of MIDIs. It is a 25 key keyboard. That's white keys and black keys. It covers 2 octaves, but there are 3 Cs. This is C, this is C, and this is C. And to access the rest of the 88 keys, you can use this set of keys over here, octave minus, octave plus. If you want this C to become this C and access the next octave of keys, you just press the plus. And if you watch the display, you are now up 1 octave. So now this is C, and this is the next C. If you press it again, and this is 3 and 4. So you can go up 4 octaves. You can come back down to 0, and you're back to where it started. You can go down an octave, maybe there's one more. Nope, only 3. You can go down 3 or up 4. All right. And if you want a shortcut for getting back to 0 is to press these 2 keys together. Now you can also transpose on this keyboard very easily with the use of the Shift key. The Shift key lets you do a lot of extra little things. So if you have a singer in your studio and they are not comfortable singing in the key of C, and they want to sing in F, you can count the number of keys up from C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is F. And to go up only 5, you hold down Shift and press this plus sign 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you'll see 5 in the display. And now this is F. So I know there's shortcuts for shifting the keyboard and playing in different keys, but this is really quick and easy. You don't have to think about relearning all of your chords. So everything sounds a little bit higher. So now to reset it to normal, press these 2 together. Now, the keyboard has 8 pads, and these are usually used for percussion. All right, and using the Shift key, you have 8 more. So you actually have access to 16 programmable drum pads. These drum pads are also velocity sensitive, and the velocity can be changed, and you cannot reassign them from the keyboard, the channels, but you can do it using the editor that's provided for this particular keyboard. There are 8 knobs over here, these fader knobs, and these are not endless knobs. These actually, this is the low setting, and if you look at, you can watch as I rotate it, that's maximum. So that's maximum, and this is minimum. All right. There are some transport buttons there. This is record, this is play, this is stop, and this is used for loops. It also includes a volume control. Okay. This button over here is for your selecting your DAW and for using your presets. And we'll talk more about those later, because the keyboard actually is smart enough to figure out what you should be using. So when I hooked it up with Ableton Live, it automatically assigned all of the keys and all of the control knobs, and they all work without any further assistance from me. So that's a very, very nice feature. Let's talk about channels. You can do certain things from the keyboard, like you can reassign the channel for the keybed, and you do that using the Shift key and this key here, that is channel. So if I press Shift and I hold down or press this key, it tells me I'm on channel 10. You saw what it said there. It says C10, so that's channel 10. If I want to reassign it on the fly, I can hold it down and press it, and I can rotate through the 16 different channels. And whatever one I stop on, that's the channel it's been reassigned to. But for this demonstration, I'm going to leave it on 10. The velocity can also be assigned directly from the keyboard. If I hold down Shift and I press this key that says velocity, it'll tell me that I'm at velocity 127. That means no matter how hard I press the keys, or how quickly I press them, or how softly I press them, I get full volume. 127 is the maximum volume. If I hold down Shift and press velocity one time, extra, it goes to low velocity. That means that I have to hit them awfully quick to get them loud. So if I press them very softly, I hardly get anything. If I press them quickly, they're not much louder. The next velocity setting is medium. There's also a high. So if I hit them soft, I get some sound. If I hit them fast, it's a little bit louder. The next one is linear. Linear means the quicker you hit them, the louder they get. So soft. Okay. Let's see here. Then we have some fixed ones. 64 means anytime I press a key, I get half volume. 64 is roughly half of 128. Well, it is actually half of 128. If I press Shift again, 100 is about 3/4 volume. And no matter if I hit it soft or I hit it fast, they're still the same. And again, 127 is maximum volume. If you're a beginner like me, then that's always the easiest. That way I can worry more about learning and hitting the right key as opposed to hitting it with the proper velocity I need to get the volume I want. I'm ready to set up my MIDI controller with Ableton Live. And this is Ableton Live, the regular layout. This is what it looks like before anything has been set up. Now, you start by clicking on Options, go down to Preferences, 8 tabs, and we're going to go through these tabs one at a time. Now, I usually take the default. Whatever was there, I don't change it. These attributes have to do with the appearance of the interface, the GUI as they call it, the graphical user interface. The only one I've changed is this one here that says Zoom Display. And if you look at these, the font used for these items here, it's quite small. I increased them to 125 so they look this large in my interface. If you want to see more, put it on 100% or even go lower. If you want to see less but larger, then you increase this percentage. Next is audio. There are driver type can be one of two types, and I am using this one MME/DirectX. The one most people use is this one, ASIO. And there is a separate driver that you need to install if you're going to use that one. It's called ASIO for All. And that is also the name of the website where you can download it. Or it may be included with other software you may have owned. But I use this one. This is actually Microsoft's. So I use MME/DirectX. And it works fine for me. It doesn't interfere with anything. If you use the other one, you'll notice that you won't have audio from other sources. So this works fine. My machine is fast enough and it's not a problem. I don't have a separate microphone installed right now, so I leave this one off because I'm not recording audio into my tracks. And everything else, I believe, is the default. This one here, 44100, that's pretty standard. You can actually go higher, 48,000. That is usually used for Blu-ray players, I believe. And if you want higher quality, you can go all the way to 96,000 sample rate. Everything else normal samples. This buffer size I might have changed, and this you might have to adjust depending how fast your computer is. 4096 works fine for mine. So let's look at the next one here, and link tempo MIDI. And the first thing you have to set is your control surface. And what your control surface is all the knobs and faders and everything else that you use. And you might have a separate one, but mostly we use the buttons and knobs that are on our MIDI. And you drop the list, go down, 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 and you won't find M Audio, but you will find Oxygen. Here's Oxygen, 3rd, 4th, 5th generation, Pro Mini, Oxygen 8 version 2, and Oxygen 49 and 61. I'm going to use Oxygen 25, Oxygen 5th gen. All right, and you see that it filled in the others. All right, and what else do you want to do? Input, he set it as port 2, and output is set as port 2 also. And it says it is a Oxygen25 MKV, or 5th generation. You also want to make sure that in is set to remote, and this one out, wavetable, also set to remote. And that should take care of it. File folders, these are the defaults. If you want to change these, click on Browse and you can change them. Libraries, this is where things are going to be stored. You can change them if you would like. Plugins, these are all the defaults. I have not changed anything there. Record, warp, launch. I don't recall changing anything here. This one you might look at, Wave. You can save your files as WAV files or AIFF files. Bitrate 24. Okay. If you know that you need a different one and you know what you're doing, change them. Otherwise, use the default. Then license, you could read through that if you like. All right, now we're back to our Ableton Live interface. And MIDIs don't have voices, so we have to give it a voice. And I'm going to start by getting an instrument. I'm going to start here where it says Instrument Rack. Click on the little arrow, and this is the list of the available categories of instruments. I'm going to go down here to piano and keys. I'm going to go through this list, and I'm looking for a grand piano. Here's a grand piano. And that's our sample. You can click on it and drag it into this tray, and it will set up the grand piano for us. Okay, so here's the piano now. Now, on this interface, there are actually 2 screens. And if you have 2 monitors, you can view both screens at the same time. So I'm going to change to the other screen by clicking on that little dot with horizontal lines. And that way I can see these settings here and what they're set to. Now, if I press a key on the keyboard, get a note. And that's good. If you look up here, every time I hit a note, you can tell that it did something. If you look here where it says all channels, if you look over here to this graphic video volume graph, I guess you'd call it, you can see that it's getting input. All right. So I want to be very specific with this. This is track 1. And let's go ahead and get the drums, and we'll see what we need to do. I'm going to put the drums on this one here, track 2. So you go over here, you click on drums, and I'm going to pick this one here, 808, which, here we go. And there's a sample of the drum kit. Now, I can drag it, or I can just double click on it, and it will put it in the tray. So here is my drum kit and a lot of things about it. All right. And if I hit my drum pads now, I'll hear percussion instruments. Very good. Okay. Now, if I hit the keys on the keyboard, I'll also hear percussion instruments. And that's because the interface here is listening to all instruments, and or all inputs, I should say. These are all inputs. If I drop the list, I'm gonna click on this one here, Oxygen25. All right, and it's listening to all inputs still. Okay, now I'm going to drop this one that says all channels, and I'm going to press my keyboard. And it says that the input is coming from channel 10, so I'm going to pick channel 10 for my keybed. Very good. All right. These are set to automatic right now, and I'm going to set them to in. And I'm going to turn this one off for a second here. You can, oh well, you can hear that both a drum is playing and the piano is playing. And so now we got to solve that problem. So one way to do it is to turn off the drums, but now your drum pads don't work. So let's go ahead and set it to on, so they're both playing. Now I'm gonna drop this list, and I am gonna click on this one here, port 2. And that should be my drum pads. And you can see over here that it is my drum pads. And all channels, I'm going to drop the list and be specific. It's on the global channel, channel 1. All right. And now when I press on the keyboard, so now I can play my keyboard piano separately from my drums. Now with all that done, let's look at Ableton Live real quick, and we'll record something. And before we do that, let's check that our knobs and everything are linked. The way you normally change the value of a control is by clicking on it and dragging up or down. So this was on 60, and you can see that it is changing. I'm going to put her back. Oh, good, exactly 60. Now I'm going to rotate the number 1 knob on the keyboard here. And as you'll note, it's changing back and forth. So we know that that is linked and working. The other way you change values is by clicking on the numericals and type the value you want. So I'm going to change this to 75 and press enter. And that's how easy it is. If I want to put it back at 60, I'll do that. Let's check tone real quick. I'm going to rotate knob 2, and you notice it changed. Glue. There you go. Reverb. Knob number 4. Attack. Knob number 5. Okay. Release is on 61. And they all work. Volume, I'll go ahead and change volume. And this one's a little bit hard to reset manually, so I will change it back to 0. Now to record, I'm going to click on Grand Piano right here. I am going to arm the track by clicking on this little square over here. It looks like a little square with a clock in it. I'm going to click on stop just to make sure it's rewound and cleared. And I'm going to click on record. Now I'll press stop. Now to replay it, I have to turn this off over here, turn off the track. I hit stop 2 times to rewind it to the beginning, and then press play. All right, so that is everything I'm going to cover in this video. In future videos, we'll look at other features of this keyboard, how to use the arpeggio, and how to use other settings on the keyboard. And that's pretty much it. Well, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you learned something. I know I did. I always do. In future videos, I hope to get into more detail about some of the advanced features, things that I need to learn about before I can tell you about them. So until next time, take care.